Coach, I think the obvious first question is talk about Lewis Morgan. During training this week, you said that it looked like it was going to be another month or two until he was ready to come back to play. Today, we see him on the bench, warming up without cleats, and then in the 90th minute, you bring him on just for penalty kicks for his first competitive touch to be a penalty kick, which of course is saved. Can you just talk about the rationale behind that and just what that means for him going forward?
Yeah, he's making really good progress. Number one, physically. So I'm hoping that that continues and maybe we get him back a bit earlier. I never would put him in a position that if he wasn't fit to be able to be in the roster and also be a part of the penalties, I wouldn't make that decision if he wasn't fit to do that. I think his form as a penalty taker is one of the best in the league. So for one moment like that, I trust him. I'd do it again if I had the chance to do it again, 100%. And I think the only thing that's probably, there's two things that I think are unfair about it. One, he's been out for a while and putting that pressure on him is not easy. So I take responsibility for that. But I'd say the other thing that's unfair is to have all the focus on that right now, because the performance that we just put in at one of the best teams in the league merits a lot more than just one penalty.
Our next question, front row.
The first 10 or 15 minutes, you guys obviously had more intensity to start. What was the message, I guess, to start, but also what was your thinking after seeing the Union's lineup and what they threw a little new wrinkle out there? How did you walk past your first half?
Yeah, I was really pleased with the way that we started the match, and really the majority of the first half. I think maybe the last 5 minutes or so they started to gain a little bit of momentum, but that's going to happen with the quality they have. And the way that they lined up, I think, was we're used to seeing two forwards from them, and they decided to go a different way, and I can understand why. I think there's some really good reasons behind that for how they wanted to control the game, and you saw some of those pictures take place at the beginning of the second half when we got stretched a little bit. But I was really pleased with the way we started the game, and I'm disappointed we didn't find the second goal in that time period. I think that would have greatly helped our position out.
Next question is our second row, and then we'll go to the front row.
Good evening, Troy. We'd love to hear from you about, it seems like New York and Philadelphia games are never short of surprises or heated moments, but what do you make of the officiating tonight's game? It seemed like after maybe the 75th minute, it sort of evolved a little bit. I'd love to hear your thoughts without obviously getting you fined.
Yeah, tough game to manage, I think, between the two sides. So I think that's not easy to be in that position, and that's really my opinion on it. I'm not going to go too much further on decisions that were made. I think we were favored in some decisions that probably should have been fouls and vice versa. So that's not where the game was decided.
Front row.
Coach, in the first half, your front four especially was really effective with the press. What'd you make of that start and generating those opportunities off those turnovers?
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. What a performance in the first half. I mean, we were really on the front foot. I think, again, if I'm looking at it with the full scope of who Philadelphia is, it wasn't Philadelphia's best start, clearly, and it took them a little while to come into the game. But I'd like to think that was because of what we were doing, to them, rather than, just not giving us any credit at all. I think the way our front 4 and 5 worked together to try to eliminate some of their dangerous players and just disrupt them high up the field and then create chances off of it. This is what we wanted to do, and we have to do that a lot coming out of this Leagues Cup competition. We're going to have to do that a lot against many opponents. When we play here again, we're going to have to figure it out as well to try to get a lot of results and turn our focus towards the MLS regular season now.
Coach, we're going to come to the back.
Troy, you guys were doing well throughout the game. In the 57th minute, Elias still looked like he had something left in the tank, but yet you chose to go with Barlow. Omer looked like he did pick up a knock, so that's probably why you took him out. What was the reasoning behind the sub, and now looking back at it, would you have waited a little longer before making it?
I think it's a fair one with Ilias. Maybe I do think Ilias had a little bit left. Omer put in so many first sprints for us in the first 45, and I think he was a big reason why we were able to disrupt them high up the field, and so he looked like he was starting to fatigue a little bit. But I'm happy with what Tom did when he came on as well. I think he secured a lot of balls, fought for a lot of first balls, and that's what we wanted him to do. Maybe I could have left Ilias on another 5-10 minutes, no doubt about it.
We're going to move to Zoom and take our first question from John Lupo. John, please proceed.
Thanks. Troy, when Gazdag went out, they brought in Bure, so they played obviously with one less midfielder, two strikers who obviously changed their formation. Did you notice it? Did you notice any real difference in the way they played? And if so, did you feel like you needed to make any adjustments off of that?
Yeah, I think that when they have two nines on the field, you're seeing what they're capable of, which is stretching the opponent, being able to play really vertical and get in behind our back four. So we made an adjustment that I don't think exactly went well in terms of our system of play. And once we got reorganized, I felt very comfortable and confident in the game. But they're always going to have chances. I mean, with their front group, they're really, really intelligent. They're very talented, and we have a lot of respect for the opponent. So I think we eliminated a lot of what they wanted to do on the night, but they got going at certain times during the game, and that's going to happen.
We're gonna take our next question from Daniel Farstein. Daniel, please proceed.
Troy, obviously tough result, but still though, Carlos Cornell looked like he had a fantastic night positioning wise, maybe once or twice in no man's land, but he was able to find a way to make a save, not counting, of course, the equalizer. But how great was he tonight for your side in regulation?
I think it's been a tremendous tournament for Carlos, and what I told not only him but the group was that we can use this form. We really wanted to use this Leagues Cup competition to go as far as we could, obviously, but more importantly, make sure that we build momentum towards the back third of the MLS regular season. And Carlos is someone that certainly individually comes out of that very confident in the form that he's in. And I think our team in general, we don't lose a match. You know, we lose in penalties, but it's a draw on the day. And I think we can feel good about that we made the most of this competition, and hopefully that's going to benefit us for the last third of the MLS regular season, so we can make a run for the playoffs.
We're coming back to the room, Coach. Second row.
Coach, second player that missed a penalty, Daniel Littman. After the game, I noticed at midfield he was pretty emotional about it, but what I did also notice after that was I couldn't see who, but he had plenty of teammates around him, like walking to the locker room and like trying to say things to him to like get him back into a positive mindset. I won't ask what was said, but can you just talk about what that means to see your players going to like one of your youngest guys like that, especially when he misses in such a big moment?
Yeah, I mean, I expect that from the culture that we have, especially for someone like Daniel that put in everything he had into that match and was I thought that he was such a major factor for why we were successful in the match. So to miss a penalty like that, that's part of the game, obviously, and it's, again, such a small moment that feels bigger than it probably should. But I expect his teammates to pick him up, and I expect us to use, again, his performance, which was extremely positive. Moving forward, he should feel very good about that. So I'm so pleased with Daniel, and he doesn't need to stay too long in this moment for a penalty miss. It's going to happen in his career.
Our next question.
Hello, Coach. There was any issue with Dante when you took him out, or you didn't talk the last game, take a penalty, very nice. You didn't talk about that Sanchez to make the substitution. You thought he would be a nice player to take a penalty, or you didn't think about penalties at that time?
Yeah, I think at the time of the change, I wasn't necessarily thinking about penalties at that stage. I think it was a little bit too early, but again, he might have had a little bit more left in the tank. We wanted to try to stay on the front foot, and I'm really pleased again with what he did tonight and his output.
Seeing no additional questions, Coach, I want to thank you for your time this evening.